I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, Passover 2022, Chag Pesach Sameach to you. Today was day 2 of the Omer and day 3 of Passover. And so today I want to focus on the idea of vision, future vision of yourself. So yesterday I talked a little bit about choice and that the idea of choice is really important. That becoming responsible for oneself is important when it comes to leaving a point of slavery or being a victim and coming out of that and becoming free, to actually being free, not just leaving a bad situation. That you need to become responsible, that you need to focus on what you can do, not what you can't. That level of choice, that focus on choice, naturally leads to the question, well, what then do we want? What do I want to do with my life? And that comes to this next point of beginning with the end in mind. We've talked about being proactive, and that leads naturally to, well, what do I want to be proactive about? Where do I want to take this life? This is stemming out of the idea that everything has two creations. That idea that everything has a blueprint, mentally created first, imagined first, before it becomes a house or reaches the physical. Mental precedes physical creation. Imagination precedes reality. In almost, I mean, really, quite frankly, in everything that we do. So, what do we want to choose to create for ourselves as we enter into this new freedom? I think the Jewish people needed to ask themselves that, because as they left slavery, they really left one taskmaster, if you will, for another. They left the Egyptian taskmasters and instead followed Aaron and Moses, and really, quite frankly, God. Basically, they didn't leave behind the mental state of being in slavery, of being beholden to somebody else. And so, in order to make that leap into actual freedom, into independence, you first have to believe that you have that ability to make that choice, and then you have to make choices. What do you want to be? What do you want to become? It's kind of like before you can knit a garment, you need to have a pattern, something to go off of. Even if it's just a mental pattern, before it becomes a physical garment, it's been imagined in your brain. And even if you know all the steps to do it by heart, you have it here, and then it comes out physically. Mental creation preceding physical creation. And so when we choose to envision ourselves in this new state of freedom, what do we want to do with it? What do you perceive for your own life? What is it that you want to do with your one wild life that you have? And I think that actually sitting and thinking about that, really in everything you do, if you're going to have a meeting, what do you want to get out of it? If you're going to plan your day, well, how do you want your day to go? How do you want your week to go? When you take a vacation, you plan that, decide where you're going, how much you're going to spend, how much you're going to spend on it. I mean, you go through a lot of planning for that to reach the goal of having a vacation that you enjoy. You begin with the end in mind. The same thing should occur really in just about every endeavor you engage in, including your life. So how do you do that? How do you create that vision of yourself? Well, there's a lot of folks out there that have created what they call personal mission statements, and they kind of start with a series of questions for themselves. Like this: what roles do you play in your life? Maybe you're a parent, a spouse, a teacher, a doctor, a salesperson, a homeowner, a pet owner. What are those things that are key roles in your life? And who are the key people that take part in that role? Who receives that role as a sense? If you're a teacher, that would be your students. If you're a doctor, your patients. Salesperson, the person who's shopping. What would you want them to say about you? Let's say it was your 80th birthday and they were going to stand up and give a speech about your greatest attributes, what you meant to them. What would they say? And what could you do today to make those statements true? Other questions you can ask yourself, or statements that you could complete, are: I am at my best when I do something, and I'm at my worst when I do this other thing. What do I love to do at work? What do I love to do in my personal life? What are my natural talents and gifts? I like this question. If I had unlimited time and resources, what would I do? What are my life goals? I want to be a person who does what? What is my most important future contribution to others? Who are the people who have influenced me, and what are their attributes? Answers to these questions, when culminated together, can help create, really not create, can help you discover your mission in life. Viktor Frankl said once, we detect rather than invent our mission. So I think if you take an opportunity to detect your mission, you'll have a better chance of becoming more free, more independent. Even if you weren't a slave to anything, I still think it's a great way to become more independent, more free as a person. For me, my personal mission has always been to do things to facilitate people's ability to do things better in their life, to be better. That every interaction I have improves someone's life in some way. At least that's my goal. That's what I hope for. That by knowing me, a person's life has been improved. That's why I'm a corporate educator, I guess. That's why I'm a teacher. I want that to be the case. That's why I do this podcast. I want to have an impact on other people, but hopefully positively, through sharing my thoughts and as well as sharing my knitting. Which leads us to sharing my knitting, because this is a knitting podcast. One should probably do that. And being the one, here we go. So I have made some progress on my Cold Pale Moon shawl. It doesn't look dramatically different from what it did yesterday. It's just ever so slightly larger than it was. So this is kind of the direction it is going in. I am right at the point now to begin the mosaic section. So hopefully tomorrow we'll see that progress. Now in the pattern, it does say to change needle sizes, to go up a needle size for the mosaic section, because sometimes that mosaic pattern can create a tighter gauge, I'm assuming. And so that's why going up a needle size will balance the gauge out between the standard stockinette and a garter stitch section. Or actually, I don't know that it's garter stitch, but the mosaic section. So I'm looking forward to that next part of this adventure, to bring in this additional color. I can't wait for it. So hopefully tomorrow we'll see some of that going on. I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you have enjoyed this little thought journey around having vision for your life, having a beginning or a thought of the end in mind for your life, and the idea that in everything you can bring that concept to bear. To in everything you do, begin with the end in mind. Always ask yourself, what do I intend for this activity, for this action, for this conversation, for this meal? What do I want people to get out of it? And if you approach everything in that fashion, I think you'll find that you get closer to the results you're looking for. That when you go at things without intention, you might sometimes get really cool stuff, and sometimes you won't. So always go for the cool stuff intentionally. So with that, I'm going to just go ahead and sign off. I hope you had a wonderful Monday. And yeah, I hope you had a wonderful Monday. So may you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy